Hey, what's up, ladies and gents, boys and girls? Today we're back playing 6 Days. This isn't really so much about the gameplay aspect, it is more so about the tactics aspect. So, with all that being said, I want to show you my points of success and my points of failure so that we can talk about it and better understand tactics moving forward. So without further ado, let's get into it. As you can see, you know, about 5 seconds in, we're getting some freaking mortar barrages, and I have set up a long axis of a support by fire, and now I'm trying to get to this building, so I'm trying to set up a short axis of support by fire. Problem with this is that I didn't wait long enough for the long axis to establish a good base of fire, and the problem that I'm dealing with right now is that I'm rushing. Partly why I'm rushing, obviously the mortars, try not to get caught out in the open. However, this really doesn't play into my favor, it more so hurts me, because obviously now we have a casualty, and because we're playing with AI, the casualties like to just sit out in the worst places possible. So now we're here. This is something I actually kind of liked, was how, going into the unknown. Is this the smartest decision? No. I definitely got lucky playing that, because as you can see, I ran out of rounds pretty quick, but luckily I got the target. I would say if this is real life, that was probably rushed and terrible, but this is a game, so there you go. Here, I think I did well on this as far as like where my one man was. Instead of just cutting the corner and doing the little button hook around the room, I am essentially going up and around so that I can get more of a clear field of view into that room. Yep, and here's where I probably would have blown up myself and the entire squad, because I threw a grenade into a whole room full of explosives. So thank goodness this is just a game. It just goes to show, man, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Alright, a point of failure for me here is I have not cleared any of this outside portion, and I haven't gone through that room whatsoever. There was a reason for that. One was because I was just trying to get myself and all the AI characters out of the room, because if you ever played 6 Days, they like to stay in there and just die, and it's a little frustrating, especially if you play for so long and the AI is just doing dumb things. But in real life, what I want to do is go out the way I came, not leave a different direction. Because if I left a different direction, there's more likely that there's going to be an ambush waiting for me. And this is my other point of failure, is instead of, pawing off and clearing and taking a slow time to do it, I'm too much in the aspect of like, oh, this is a game, like, let's hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And in reality, that's a big point of failure for most people who play video games, especially myself, is that I try and take this not as literal training, but at least gets myself again more in the mindset of training to be like, okay, like, where should I be looking, fields of fire, stuff like that. And I end up shooting myself in the foot by just rushing it too much. You'll notice a lot of that within this footage. So next here, where essentially I'm trying to throw a grenade up onto this roof because we were just taking contact from here, and I pushed my entire team up against the wall just to get them out of the kill zone. Right here you'll see where I tried to establish, using this little corner wall piece that has a hole in it as, hey, I'm going to establish my base of fire here to cover the long axis of the roadway, so that I could, pretty much have them in cover and have myself be supported well. And the issue was that, AI being AI, they hopped the wall, and as soon as I threw my grenade up and over the wall, he got killed. So in real life, I don't believe that if I established a base of fire there that, one of my teammates would jump up and over the wall, especially because, we would be communicating with each other like, hey, set up here, I'm going to toss a grenade, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Obviously, this is a game, so, you know, there's not as much you can do as far as like shoot, move, and communicate. You want to shoot, move, and communicate as much as possible in real life so that your teammates aren't doing stupid things or you aren't getting in each other's way. For me, this is a point of failure for myself because, again, I'm just rushing. You can tell that I got like my adrenaline going or whatever, and I'm just not really paying too much of attention to my situation because I'm like, move, 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 let's go, let's go, let's go. I think part of what threw me off and why I was like, oh, go, 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 was because one of my teammates died. That threw me off. We're dealing with RPG shots. It's just a chaotic environment. And obviously combat is always going to be a chaotic environment, but you just need to learn how to calm down and relax and not rush the situation. You're pretty much, anytime you rush in a situation, you're just rushing to an early death. That's all you're doing. So, yes, playing a game, it's really easy to rush because you're like, oh, well, there's no consequences to it. But if you want to try and actually take this as like a training evolution or like use it to kind of test your brain or play games with your brain as far as tactics, you need to actually, you know, apply slow as smooth, smooth as fast. It's all about finding the proper tempo. Like right here, you can see I'm trying to say, hey, let's suppress down this hallway because we're taking shots, and they're suppressing, but the suppression isn't very effective because, as you just saw, that guy clapped me from on top of the stairs. So that's why the suppression isn't as effective as I'd like it to be. Plus, I'm trying to suppress a hallway when in reality I should have just had them kind of do a little watch command so that they could have engaged the targets properly. I will say, this whole spray and pray method, that's pretty much all I had going for me because I didn't really want to run around to the back side of the building because if I did, there was going to be enemy on the other side that I had previously engaged with that were most likely going to end up clapping me. So, wasn't the smartest decision to even try and take this building. I definitely think I could have done it in a more effective way. But it's, you know, it's like they say, hindsight's 20/20. I definitely think I recovered a little bit here just because, you know, I'm trying to now gather the team, regather the team, and, you know, just try and, hey, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Let's focus on what's going on with the situation and go from there. Again, I tried the same tactic of just suppressing just because I did spray and pray into the building, but I really just wanted to get in there and not have any impediments. In reality, I wouldn't have had them suppress. That was probably just stupid, but I really wasn't thinking. Same thing with the whole like, oh, suppress the upstairs area. That just doesn't make sense logistically or tactically because, you know, having them watch up there, that's one thing. Having them do a full-on suppression command. If this was real life and I ordered them to suppress that area, they're just wasting rounds. So it's kind of like a gameism that my mind was sucked into that I have to pull myself out of to make sure I can actually get the most out of this as far as like if I'm trying to treat it as training. Again, you can see like another point of failure I have is just I'm trying to engage targets properly. I'm trying to also clear the building, but I'm more focused on like, oh, those targets that are way out there rather than finishing clearing the building that I'm already in. Because yeah, I could be engaged with these guys that are all across the way, and then that back left room that I never checked out, you know, some guy could pop out from right there and just wipe out the whole fire team. So it's one of those like try and pick your targets in a way that you're not gonna screw yourself later. It obviously worked out for me because, you know, nobody popped out of here. But if there was a guy in this room that I'm in right now, we probably would have all gotten shot in the back of the head. It's definitely a gameism to really just focus on like, oh, just shoot the targets, shoot the targets, shoot the targets, and you just wouldn't want to do that if this was an actual real life scenario. You wouldn't want to do that for all the reasons of like, hey, focus on what's in my workspace before I go up and out of my workspace. Because see right there, that could have easily been that guy in that room who went and wiped out my fire team. We just happened to get lucky and nobody got injured at that point. So now here, we're just moving. I'm just trying to find area that I can push through. Right here, I'm like, okay, I have recon by fire. Recon by fire is pretty much just like, I have a gut feeling that somebody's in there. So I'm just gonna start laying hate that way. And since I started laying hate that way, what did I get back? I got rounds back, and therefore I'm setting up a suppression. So a point of failure on going up these stairs is that I tried to press up the stairs a little bit too quick. Again, I'm just not taking my time properly to slow down. Another point of failure here is that I completely rushed downstairs to go get this casualty because, again, it's a gameism where if these guys are suppressing, they're not really gonna give each other first aid. So it's just one of those, in real life I wouldn't have ran down there, but because it's a game I'm trying to run down there, and so I'm just, again, just going way too fast than what the situation would actually call for. So again, I'm trying to just have these guys make sure nobody comes out of that building from that way, and I'm going back up on top of the stairs to try and hopefully find a internal stairwell into the building so I can push down into there. What I come to find out later, as you can see, there's no external stairwell that goes downstairs. Hey, sometimes that's just life, you feel me? So now I'm here. I would say engaging that target right there in that window is engaging them properly because, hey, I'm exposed on this open roof and they are my most immediate threat. So it's not like I could just run off the roof and call it a day. I needed to actually assess and engage that threat. And then here, since I've, can't get into the building through a stairwell that's on the inside, I have to go around. I'm gonna call these guys a ceasefire, and now I'm just gonna start pressing into the building. As you can see, I'm pre-firing because I'm pretty sure that there's somebody in there. I just so happen to be right, and there we go. And now we found the goodie stash. I'm trying to assess situation. Yep, trying to have those guys watch that door because if they don't watch that door, AI being AI, they're all gonna clump down here with me and we're all gonna get, we're all gonna get clumped in this downstairs area. And if this was real life and somebody threw a grenade downstairs, and let's just say this was a small basement area, we'd all be in for a world of hurt. So now that I've established this is where the goodie stash is, I'm going to try and continue to clear the rest of the building, making sure, I heard, hey, shots to my left, there's a guy outside using situational awareness, and now I'm trying to clear the rest of the building. I like having the guys on the right side as I'm trying to go around on the left side because it ends up creating a two-way flow system where I can push any enemies to their direction, or if any enemies want to come my way because those guys are engaging them, I'm also on this other side. So now I'm here, I'm just establishing near, medium, far threats. I am picking up them weapons caches because it does give me extra points, so just doing that for fun. In all reality, the picking up of the weapon stashes doesn't really matter. It's just for fun. So now in this next clip, it's pretty much the same thing. We're just assaulting the compound. We're trying to just clear one lane of buildings so that we can get to the compound and engage those threats from there. From here, now I'm trying to suppress this guy with a 203, which, not to pat myself on the back here, but I am doing, relatively accurate shots. My point of failure here is that I'm just standing out in the middle of the road because, again, my mind is just too much like, oh, this is a game, like, they're not going to shoot me from here. In reality, I'd want to push to the rear of the track and engage them with the 203 from there. It's just one of those game-isms where you kind of have to just suck yourself out of it and then put yourself into a situation of, instead of shoot, move, communicate, it's think, what am I doing? Think, what am I doing? Think, what am I doing? You know, what makes sense? What am I supposed to be doing? Those should be essentially the thoughts that are going through your mind when you're trying to use video games as training. Again, if you're not trying to use this for training, obviously what I'm saying doesn't even matter. This is all in just the realm of like, hey, I'm trying to take a video game, something that's supposed to be fun, and I'm trying to make it useful for a real life scenario. Now, obviously, again, with a video game, you're not going to be extremely realistic. Like right there, I wouldn't have gotten caught on that little glitch of a rock. And this guy probably wouldn't have just been standing there waiting for me to shoot him 18 times in a row. It's just one of those, it helps, but it'll never be like real life. So as long as you can make that distinction that just because this is a game doesn't mean that it's real life, but just because it's a game doesn't mean it can't help me with real life scenarios. So now here I'm like, hey, I'm kind of sus about that building over there. I want to establish pretty much like, hey, watch that sector, make sure we don't get flanked. Me and my teammate, we're going to come around, try and gain access into this building, and try and just, you know, not get outflanked essentially. So I would say this is a point of success here, especially because we've already established there are enemies in the building, and now we're going to try and push in. A point of possible failure here would be the aspect of like suppressing this building for no need. I end up suppressing that left far side window because I have a feeling there's a threat in there. Obviously there is no threat in there as we can see. So that could have gone either way. I think in real life I still would have followed through and told them to suppress that window, or at least had like a watch command towards that sector to make sure that, you know, nobody's going to come around the corner and blast us in the face. But that could have definitely ended up badly for all of us involved. Yep, as we can see, there's still more enemy in this building. So essentially what I did here is I had my teammates do a watch command to the stairs, and I'm going to try and do that double flow method where I'm going to push one way and hopefully have them as a blocking position so that anybody who runs into there will, you know, get mowed down essentially. Now here, I've established, all right, there's a second part of the staircase. Hey, I'm not trying to push up the stairs just yet because there's still this room I'm about to go into that hasn't been cleared. See, there's an enemy down there. Just trying to clear out the basement, and then I'm going to clear out the kitchen before ending up going upstairs.
Good to go on the stairs.
Again, see, making sure I'm not getting tunnel vision, making sure I'm also looking not only inside the building, but also outside the building, so that, you know, in a real life scenario, that's what I'd want to be doing, is making sure I always have a hard piece of cover surrounding my back as I'm watching inside, watching outside, because, you know, enemies can always pop up around corners like they did right there, and you could be in a world of hurt. Now this next part, you will definitely see a huge point of failure just because of a lack of situational awareness and common sense. Yep, so right here I start taking, you know, pretty accurate incoming fire, And I'm just sitting here like, oh, where's it coming from? Where's it coming from? You'll see in a second where it's coming from. Yep, right there off to my left. Those two dudes that on the roof were just mowing me down, and I got shot in the face because I was being stupid. Luckily, my teammate, he gets them down, gets me back in the fight, and then we continue on from there. So yeah, they were shooting me from that roof right there. It was the mortar team. And in real life, they probably would have gunned me down, but just because this is a video game and I'm spazzing out with the keys, trying to just not get any straight rounds to the face, I just come out on top. But in reality, I probably would have gotten toasted. So understand, yes, it is a game, and just because the AI doesn't always shoot you doesn't mean you would have gotten away that easily in real life. I definitely think when it comes to video games, they are in the first person, or they're in the player's benefit for the most part. Now, yes, video games can definitely kill you unreasonably sometimes. You know, you're just in the wrong place, wrong time, and that's just what happens. But I think a lot of the time it gives you the benefit of the doubt. See, I meet up with my buddies because we did the whole clearing process, and now we're on to the next. So in this scenario, I know I passed all through that garage, but I've already cleared all this. I went outside to go get some more rounds from the track, and then I moved back in. And now you can see here, we're engaging some enemies from across the street. They're in that window area. Now, the only reason I got up and moved over my buddy, I would not recommend doing that in real life because, you know, if they try to get up or get up out of the way, you're probably going to shoot him in the back of the head. And that's just obviously a no bueno day for you and for him. But, you know, when he's just sitting there in an open doorway, I'm like, okay, you know, you're about to get shot, my guy. I need to help you. Because sometimes the AI does need the help. Sometimes they don't. It's really random. Sometimes they're cold eye killers and other times they're not. So now here I established a suppress command because what I'm doing is I'm going around to the left side building to hopefully gain access to that doorway that was on the left side. I'm looking, I have no grenades with me, so I can't throw a frag in there to prep the room. I would do that if I still had a frag, but, you know, it just ran out and that's the case. So now I called off their suppression, quickly followed through into the building, and now we're just clearing it. So here's another point of failure. I would say trying to reload while standing right in a doorway is probably not the best idea, but, you know, that's just what I decided to do. Probably not the smartest decision, but I didn't get hit, so it was the right call for that predicament. Now this, another point of failure. If that guy was facing the other way, which in real life he probably would have, I would have gotten shot in the face instantly, and I would have had a bad day. So what you should do is when you're going up those stairs is be crouched and then be aimed at a certain point where you think they're going to be and then pop up all together. So that it's not your head gets exposed and then your rifle gets exposed. It's you're getting exposed all at the same time so that if they do happen to hit you, at least you have your rifle up and in the fight. So now here, I'm trying to throw smoke across the street so that I can gain access to this steel doorway that's right across the street because we're trying to get in and clear this little compound area. So right now I have my team not on a suppress command just because there's no, you know, there's no apertures or anything that need to be suppressed at the moment. And so I'm just using this as a chance to come around and get access to this steel doorway. Yep, for whatever reason, the AI decided to jump into the... They decided to jump in there and then jump back out. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know why they do that. It's just the thing they do. In reality, your teammate wouldn't actually done that. Alright, point of failure I have for myself right here is when I see a dark room, I should have immediately turned on my flashlight before exposing myself further to the dark window. Because ultimately, didn't know what was in there. Definitely could have gotten hit right in the face. And now, so here, I have them on a suppress command because I just don't want anything coming out from that way. I was going to go around the right side, but I stopped myself because I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't cleared any of those right side buildings. That means there's most likely going to be enemy in there. And that's why I decided to go back onto this left side over here to gain access to the rear of the building. Because I've already cleared that whole laneway of buildings that is on the left side. And now we're here, and we are trying to just gain access to the building. Obviously, if you can tell, my friendlies are right there, and if I had them actually suppressing into that window, a point of failure, I probably would have gotten hit by blue on blue fire because, you know, I told them to suppress down the hallway. I didn't tell them to cease fire on their suppression before I went in there, and it would have been a bad day for me. Now right there with the enemies just happened to be in the doorway and I just got. That just is what it is, man. So be it, and that's how it was. But teammates got me back in the fight. I'm trying to get this guy back in the fight, trying to continue to just clear the building and call it a day from there. Alright, so we're on to the next. Here, trying to just establish a watch command to just be like, hey, watch this sector over here. They're most likely going to be shooting at us from down this alleyway. I see that open aperture. I'm trying to do some recon by fire to just see, hey, is there going to be anybody in there who either is going to get toasted by this, or if they don't get toasted by this, they're going to come back and walk right into all four of our guns. Just kind of probing the area, just seeing what's up. Here, just trying to, I guess, cordon off visually with the left side and the right side of these sets of buildings to just see if there is, you know, any enemy coming around the left side. Because ultimately, you know, the last thing you want to do is get flanked. So now we're here. I do a real trash job of checking my corners. Obviously another point of failure. I'm just trying to assess, is there anybody in there? I'm gonna do some recon by fire. Unsure if that was actually a successful 203 round or not. I reload and just keep on pushing. So I'm establishing visually, I'm like, okay, if I was going to take contact from anywhere, probably be that little steel barred window. My buddy has already taken contact and returned fire, knowing that, and we know now that there are enemies in this building for sure. So now I'm just doing the pieing process. I'm trying to make myself a small target by just leaning over. And I'm trying to just, you know, end up doing accuracy through volume. My volume ended up running out, and I ended up getting hit in the process. But luckily, I just kept on running and tried to stay out of the kill zone as much as possible. Essentially, that's all you can do. The minute you run out of rounds, all you can do is just get to cover, try and get out of the kill zone as best you can, and hopefully your teammates will pick up the rest. Now we've established there's enemy up here. I'm throwing a frag just because I'm like, hey, you know, I ain't trying to send my team up there. So you could see there was a straggler that just ran by. A point of failure right here. As I'm looking straight ahead, there's this whole right side of the balcony that I should have been looking at instead. Because in all reality, somebody could have just popped their weapon right over the side and nabbed me when I was right on the stairs. Right there, when the guy just came out of the doorway, it was again just me not being aware of my situation. And honestly, I was kind of just in the moment of, hey, my teammates are probably behind me because they seem like they're rushing and they're kind of following me, and that's just not always the case. You can't always trust that that's going to be the situation. So even when times are confusing, you just have to try and gain situational awareness as much as possible. Like I noticed right there, the buddy to my left, he was engaging an enemy outside, and so I was like, okay, well, let me not get in his way. I need to keep clearing, but let me just crouch right under and get around him. The AI, I wish, did that a little bit better of a job, but because they just, sometimes you're engaging a target and they just run right in front of you and you end up hitting them by accident. And respectfully, that's their own fault, but what can you do? All you can do is control yourself at the end of the day. So I saw my buddy was engaging a target. Hey, I'm not going to get in his way. I'm going to crouch, continue doing my own thing. Alright, I checked the rooftop, realized the rooftop is a terrible place to be, and I rush back to get inside and just try and assess what's going on outside. I would say, again, just like a point of failure for me here is just running around too much, too fast, and like I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. You can kind of tell in my movements. I'm just like, where's the target? Where's the target? Where's the target? I'm like a dog looking for a squirrel. It's kind of a little frustrating to watch back because I feel like I should be better than this, but ultimately, as we can all see, I just need to improve on the whole slow is smooth, smooth is fast aspect. Which again, you know, got to get out of the mindset of like, oh, this is just a video game. If I'm going to use this as training, again, if I'm using this as training, I have to move at a speed that an actual human would move at, not, you know, we're not playing Call of Duty here. You can play Call of Duty to train because it's still kind of like a similar concept, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at here. So we're there, my buddy engaged his target, I let him do his thing, target's eliminated. The AI wasn't going to continue to push through the room, so I just waited for him to finish, and then I pushed on through. I would say that's a point of success, because, you know, you can do that in real life too. One guy holds down security, he communicates to you, hey, move, don't move, whatever. Pretty much just shoot, move, and communicate. That's really all what, you know, actual combat is about, is just shooting, moving, and communicating. If you can actually get real people to play with you, I recommend doing that because you guys can actually work together as a proper team and not one guy trying to control fake robots. So now here will be another point of failure. Notice how I ran, completely exposed myself, and then looked to the right, and I put myself in a horrendous position. Again, the game just happened to so favor my luck, and I didn't get shot in the process. But in reality, I would have definitely gotten shot in the side of the head if this was real life. So right here, we're moving on to the next building. I take a quick look. I'm like, well, that's a lot of windows and doorways that are probably going to have a lot of shooters in it. I did not get a good feeling in my stomach, so I was like, hey, I'm going to call up my team and lay down some smoke. As you'll see here, this is what happens when you stand out in the open and you don't think about it for more than 5 seconds. Yes, there was some smoke there, but that doesn't mean, hey, it provides you actual cover. Smoke is just concealment, and it wasn't even that good of concealment to begin with. So right here, just trying to establish a new situation because I'm like, well, this retard is down. I have to call in a new retard. And there we go, now we're back up to 4. Just goes to show, do not stand in open doors. Do not stand right out in the open. You will get eliminated in a short amount of time. So right here, I'm trying to establish a base of fire and just suppress the building as best I can. And hopefully get in on the back end somewhere. But there's no holes in the wall. I'm not able to jump up and over the wall, and I really don't want to round that back end corner because I'm just not getting a good feeling that that's going to work out in my favor. So here I'm trying to go around my suppressing element. In reality, you'll see that I walk in front of this guy, but I would have tapped him on the Kevlar and been like, hey, I'm going to cross right in front of you, and he would have been like, okay, cool, go, and then I would have gone, and they would have continued to suppress as we moved on to the left side of the building, because obviously they're suppressing the right side of the building. So now I'm here, I've established a foothold into the building, and I call my team up, because there's no point for them to keep suppressing. Now in this next stage, we are still in the same building. This is just a little bit sped up just to cut out all the little excess of running around the rooms and junk. Here, I want to talk about a point of failure because instead of, again, you'll see that's the enemy right there, and I get clocked right in the face. What I should have done was turn my head around the corner, gotten awareness of the situation and just how close that threat was, and I would have been able to eliminate him before he eliminated me if I would have just taken that extra 3 seconds to pie that corner and make sure nobody was there before I started treating my casualty. Again, I just got too sucked into the gameism of it, of, hey, my buddy needs help and I'm just going to provide help to him so that he doesn't die. So that was a point of failure, but here I want to say that this is a point of success. I'm telling my friendlies, hey, watch this little sector right here. Make sure I don't get blasted out of that window. I'm trying to establish what is around this corner. All right, I see that it's a road. I see all the way in the distance back there that that's my target. And what I'm going to do is try and cross this danger area. So here I'm crossing, I'm getting shot at, but since I have that base of fire set up of my guys watching that sector, they were able to eliminate that target before the enemy was able to get me. So now here, I'm on the other side. I see no actual threats. I'm trying to establish this foothold in this building because they're safe on their end. I want to make sure nobody's going to pop out of this building and come and get us. So I quickly clear it with my buddy. We're all good. I'm spazzing around looking for stuff like a weirdo for whatever reason. Couldn't tell you why. Again, just that dog looking for a squirrel mentality of, I don't know what I was doing, but I was obviously not doing it with a thought process. As you can see, right there when I marked that building, I'm like, all right, I'm assuming that if we are going to take contact, it's going to be from that building. I put a marker right there just so I can kind of establish a little bit better, like, hey, what are we looking at? I called my buddies over, and I am establishing a base of fire for them as they move. However, you could see they move right in front of me instead of moving behind me and into cover. In reality, if your team is actually smart, they're going to move behind you and into cover and know that you are the base of fire element. But again, you're just playing with AI here, so they don't really understand actual tactics. They just understand, okay, I need to get to you. And then they get within a certain vicinity of you, and then they're like, all right, cool, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And in reality, it's like, no, you need to be in cover so that you're not putting yourself out there as an easy target. Again, this is just games versus reality. You have to know and understand the differences of everything. The idea of the tactic is still there, where it's setting up near side and far side security when crossing a danger area. I can't set these scenarios up perfectly, but I try and do as best as possible. And this is why I'm just here to explain what I'm doing so that everyone's on the same page of like, okay, well, why did you do that? And it's like, well, here, this is why I did this. So now here, I had them hold security on those apertures. And what I'm doing is going around this far side building to make sure that there's no enemy in it, because I want to clear that 2-story that is to the west that's right in front of me, but I want to make sure that I'm not going to get outflanked from the rear. So I'm just going to clear this quick little building. I don't clear the roof because the 2nd story has a rooftop, and I don't want to be sitting myself out in the open for plunging fire. A point of failure here, though, I had them set up security on this front side of the building, and instead of going around the back side of the building like I should have, I went around the front side of the building. Don't ask me why. I wasn't thinking in that moment, and that was just an extreme point of failure because I had the perfect setup of, hey, they're here, they're holding security. What would make the most sense in an actual tactical situation is going around the back and entering that way and hopefully flushing any enemy out and pushing them out the front so that my teammates could have eliminated them. However, there just wasn't an enemy in there, and I just so happened to get lucky. So again, here, they were holding security for a minute. I called up my teammates. I'm going to establish pretty much an isolation point right here. So I'm having them set up security here. And I'm going to try and go around the backside of this building so that if there is any enemy in here, that I can flush them out their way. So here, gained a foothold into the building. There's really no enemy here, so I don't have to worry about anything. At least not in this room. Again, just doing my proper technique of trying to just clear out the building in a systematic manner. In this case, I went all the way around the left side and just did a full and complete circle. Whenever you are clearing a building, this is essentially how you want to do it, is you want to go from one end, doesn't matter if you're going right or left. I would say situation dictates, but you want to clear in a circular manner so that you're not missing any rooms. Now here in this next clip, all right, cool. I saw some dust kick up from that window. I'm assuming that there's enemy in there, and I would be right. Tracer just came out right at me. Ran out of rounds. What I'm going to do is establish my team to suppress that window. I have to wait for them to get up here. I don't want them to round the corner and just get eliminated, so I'm going to begin the suppression, and I'm going to maintain the suppression until my team moves in and takes over. So see, now they're there. They've established their suppressive fire, and now I'm going to begin to move to close in on the objective. Now granted, again, in real life, you can have your teammates support, or correction, you can have your team suppress multiple apertures at once. It's just the way the game works, they can only suppress one aperture at a time. That's just how it works. That's where I was taking fire from. That's where I'm going to have them establish a base of fire. So now we're here. I'm not really worried about that window that much anymore. I'd much rather get my team up here because, hey, this is a big, building. They got, a roof, a second story, and a bottom floor. So I'm like, hey, I need all four of my guys. Me and my teammate are not going to be able to do anything with this building effectively. So now I'm here. I again just kind of rushed it too much. I was just focused on, hey, where's the enemy? Where's the enemy? Where's the enemy? And I wasn't really thinking about waiting for my team to get up here. And as you can tell, I paid for it and my teammate paid for it. So as I snap back into the machine gunner, if I would have just waited an extra 5 seconds, these 3 dudes would be alive. Yep, because he goes down, I get shot right in the back again, and now I'm all by my lonesome. Correction, 2 guys went down. I thought it was 3. I swear to you, when I was playing this, I thought all 3 of my teammates went down. Don't know where he spawned in from. But yeah, that's another point of failure right there. Just standing in the doorway, spraying and praying, not actually thinking about what I'm trying to do. I'm more just trying to suppress the enemy as much as possible so I don't get got, and it just doesn't really play out well in my favor. I would say half of combat is definitely, actually not even half. A decent amount of combat is definitely luck. Because you could be the smartest and have the most tactics and all this other stuff, but ultimately, if you're just at the wrong place at the wrong time, there's nothing you could have done. That doesn't mean you shouldn't learn about tactics and skills and train to a standard. That just means, hey, sometimes you get got. And that's just how the real world works. It's not fair. Never was, never will be. Yep, there we go. get shot right in the face because I just exposed myself too heavily and I'm just not even thinking about what I'm trying to do right here. If I was actually thinking and taking the time to slow down, I would have began to suppress the area before I even poked my head up, and I would have not gotten shot right in the face. So now I'm trying to just kind of suppress anywhere and everywhere that I can. I know that there's a lot of enemies in here. I know that they're probably on the bottom floor and the second floor, so I'm just trying to throw as much suppression as I can down range and hopefully hit some guys in the process. I will say this, it's just really hard to be successful in a combat scenario if you're trying to play it too much like a game. Again, this is a video game. This isn't anywhere near as close to actual combat, but it is at least a tool that you can use to improve your mental capacity as far as like, okay, how would this work if this was real life? As you can see, I'm just doing a lot of spraying and praying because I have no idea where anybody is. I'm just trying not to get got, which is also a real world aspect of combat. Sometimes you're just trying not to get got. Here, I would say this is kind of another point of failure where for whatever reason I'm just running on the outside of the balcony and I really shouldn't have been. What I should have done was actually gain a foothold into one of the rooms so that I could have not put myself in this, again, terrible position. Because as you can see right now, I'm taking contact from short range because I just don't know where anybody or anything is. So now I'm here. I'm just trying to, again, I have the grenades. Might as well use them. We're on the objective. I'm not even using them as tactfully as I really want to, but I'm essentially just trying to keep all the enemies downstairs. I'm really not trying to have them come up the stairs and flank me as I'm trying to clear out all these rooms. Especially with the machine gun, you just don't have a flashlight, so you're just kind of spraying and praying and hoping for the best. And as right there, it just, you know, got hit in the back. This guy got shot by my own barrel just because he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know how I made it out of that one. Yep, and that's more realistic. I just got outgunned, and I just wrong place, wrong time. I got unlucky at a certain point. So now here, I had these two dudes on this floor as a watch command, and I wanted them to just kind of guard this little hallway / door, and they just got. Homie right there with the all schlup neck. He just got unlucky, and that's just how it was. So me and my buddy were trying to run down there and try and give him some support, and it helped at least not have the other guy die, but you know, we just weren't quick enough to get there. Here, again, another Hail Mary miracle where I'm just spraying and praying, and I just so happen to get, I think it's like 2-3 dudes right here. At a certain point in time, that's all you can do is just spray and pray, especially when you are taking contact and you just don't know where anything's at or, you know, what the situation is. Again, just got lucky. I would say this was a point of success because ultimately I was spraying and praying and I was in the doorway, but I wasn't just standing stationary. I was trying to move and maneuver my body to try and not only move the rounds back and forth in a sweeping pattern to hopefully get anything in the room, but to also not stay in a certain stationary position to get myself shot. How feasible that is in the real world? Again, situation dictates. Sometimes you can move like that. Other times the terrain is going to restrict you from moving like that. It just really comes down to whatever situation you're in. So now here, I have no idea if I got that guy with my pistol or not. I have a feeling like he's downstairs, and I'm not trying to walk directly down those stairs because I feel like I'm going to get got. I have no more grenades, so I can't throw any grenades down there. What you'll see here is I'm just going to load up my saw and then head downstairs through the outside stairwell to try and throw in some hopefully accurate fire to anybody who's in the bottom floor. As you can see, I'm just doing a spraying and praying because I can't see anything. Just got unlucky right there. That guy just happened to be there, and I just wasn't really paying attention. I was just too focused, and I got tunnel vision right there, which is a point of failure that most people have, you know, in video games, outside of video games, is just tunnel vision. And you, again, it's all about stop, think, what am I doing? Stop, think, what am I doing? And you can tell when I start running around like a crazy chicken with his head cut off, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm like, what am I trying to accomplish here? So now here I kind of got my bearings. I'm like, okay, I want to accomplish the mission of shooting this dude in the face. Mission accomplished, cool. I'm still taking contact. I'm pretty sure it's coming from that window. I have no idea. What I'm going to do right here, wouldn't recommend in real life, but I threw a grenade in there because the game that this is, there would definitely be Hajis popping up out of there to just gun me right down in the back. And I just didn't want to have that happen. So I'm trying to just blow that up and get out of there. Essentially here, I got trapped in that little box corner area because I thought that was going to be an exit to the outside. It was not. I'm like, hey, there's most likely going to be enemies in this window right in front of me, so I'm going to eliminate them. And then Bob's your uncle. That's pretty much it. So with all that being said, I hope that you learned something. I hope that you can actually take video games and not just look at them as like, oh, this is fun, like ha ha ha, and actually dive into a sense of realism to a certain point. I'm not saying don't have fun with video games. It's just an aspect of, if you want to deal in the realm of warfighting, you need to use every tool accessible to you, and video games are just one of those tools. Even in the military, we have like fake simulations that are pretty much, I kid you not, it's a laptop video game where these dudes are just practicing like calling for fire with like air and artillery and mortars and all this other stuff. And it's, video games are very slept on as far as actual tactics because they're not exactly like the real world, and they never will be, but they can at least be more beneficial than harmful if you're using them in the proper way. If you're trying to treat your training like Call of Duty and pretending like you can sprint through the entire map and like outrun bullets, that's just not real life. That's just not what's going to happen. And if you try and play real life like Call of Duty, you're just going to end up, you know, rushing to an early death. That's the way I just look at it. So again, with all that being said, hope you learned something. I hope that my failures will help you improve. I hope that the things that I did well were actually done well. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, recommendations for next videos, whatever your little heart desires, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.